All right, everyone. Thank you for joining the second session of the second day of GCon 360. We have another great presentation for you guys. Another presentation from Google. We're joined by Adam Swidler and Reshma, who are going to be presenting on the power of marketing with Google Apps. So they actually have a really cool immersive experience set up for you guys. So if you haven't already, please take a second to get out your smartphones. And be prepared to kind of get involved in the presentation. So before I hand it over to them, I did just want to mention that we are once again doing questions in the Q&A app in the top right-hand corner of your screen. So please feel free to ask questions all along the presentation. I'll stop Adam and Reshma if something is pressing, and if not, we will just kind of hold off until the end for some dedicated Q&A time. We also do have some links that'll help out with the immersive experience in the Showcase app. So keep an eye on that. We'll make sure that those are called out when you need to use those. And lastly, please take a moment please stick around to the end of the presentation to fill out the form for some of our awesome free giveaways. So I'll make that available at the end of the presentation after they are done with the presentation. So with that, I want to go ahead and turn it back over to Adam and Reshma if you guys want to go ahead and come off mute and join the presentation. So Adam and Reshma, it's back over to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Andrew. And thank you everyone for attending today. So today we're going to cover some of the trends that we're seeing in marketing, followed by how different marketing roles in your organization can use Google Apps. Then we'll look at how some customers are using Google Apps. And along the way, my colleague Adam will show you the power of Google firsthand in marketing scenarios looking at our product.
Hi everyone, this is Adam. I'm really happy to be here with Reshma today. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up a little bit later in the session. We are going to be doing an interactive demo. And if you want to participate, you can join us either on your laptop or your PC or on your mobile device. If you had a chance to submit your email address in our form, you'll be getting emails, a couple of emails throughout the course of the demo, and you'll be able to access the files that we're showcasing in the demo through those. If you didn't have a chance to fill out the form, don't worry. In the course of the presentation, we'll have both a QR code that you can use to access the demo files with your mobile device, and we'll also have links in there so you can access those files from the web. So if you don't have a barcode reader on your mobile device and you want to participate in the demo and you didn't fill out the form already, you can use these next few minutes while we're talking through the content to download a barcode scanner. And then a little bit later, we'll be showing you the QR codes that you can point the scanner at. You use the camera on your smartphone. And if you're familiar with all that and feeling lucky, that's a good way to participate in the demo. So I'll be back in a few minutes, and I'll turn it back over to Reshma.
Thanks, Adam. So first, let's talk about some key trends that we're seeing in marketing this year. So one, we're seeing that content marketing is becoming more prevalent. We're also seeing that companies want to give their customers a digital experience, and they also want to become more agile to better respond to customer demands. So we feel that at Google, with Google Apps, we can address these three marketing initiatives. But there may be other initiatives in your organization that pertain to marketing, like marketing automation or analytics, that are important to you. However, that is not the content we'll be covering in this session. So let's talk about content marketing. So in essence, at a high level, this is the ability to create buyer-relevant collateral as opposed to simply blasting the market with your messages. And a trend that we're seeing is that marketers are creating more content than they did a year ago, and they're publishing that content more frequently. And so if we look at the 4 tasks that a marketer has to do to create better content, only Google Apps will provide you a way to manage all 4 effectively. So one product suite that helps you collaborate on the content with your internal teams and agencies, that helps you maintain one source of truth for all your content, that allows you to have quick face-to-face conversations from anywhere, and that allows you to share those files securely and without space constraints. So now that you've created all this great content, how are you going to get it into the hands of your customers? And so our second trend is around creating a digital experience for your customers by utilizing social, web, and mobile technologies to interact with them and share your content. And what we've seen is that the market tends to reward those companies well that embrace digital with higher revenue, higher profitability, and higher valuations.
Hey, Reshma, do you mind if I stop you for a second?
Sure.
We got a question already in the Q&A app asking about the form that we posted on the event page. Adam mentioned this. So that form is actually closed, but we are going to provide a couple of other ways, like Adam mentioned, through the QR code reader to be involved in the experience. So, yeah, Adam, do you just want to just recap that again real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. If you didn't get a chance to enter the form, don't worry. You don't need to enter anything now. The form is closed. But you will be able to participate in the demo on a web browser of any sort or on a mobile device if you have a barcode reader application and have the ability to access the QR codes that we're going to show on the screen. So there's a number of ways you'll be able to participate in the demo. As we get into the demo, I'll both give you directions and a little bit of time to get your device kind of caught up with the demo and where we are at that point.
Great,
thanks, Adam. And yeah, so those will be in the Showcase app, guys. So just keep an eye out for those. Reshma, go ahead. I'll turn it back over to you.
Great. Thanks, guys. So we were talking about how companies can create a digital experience. So if you want to create a digital experience, however, you have to embrace digital not only externally for your brand, but internally in your culture as well, because those same employees that you're depending on to create that digital brand and experience for your customers, they need to be engaged, motivated, and inspired so they can be innovative and deliver those experiences to the market. So companies that want to create that digital brand, which is essentially how they want to interact with and be perceived by their customers, they must also remember to embrace a digital culture so that the processes, the tools, the values, they are aligned with your digital brand, and only then will you be able to deliver a true digital experience to the marketplace. And Google for Work gives marketers the tools they need to create this digital culture, to be collaborative, connected, and innovative, and thus be able to be creative. And these are values that we embody in our culture at Google. It's in our blood, and it's also inherent in the products that we bring to market. And it's the reason why 5 million businesses go Google. Take Briggs Stratton, for example. They're the world's largest manufacturer of air-cooled gasoline engines for outdoor power equipment. And going Google for them not only fixed their communication problems, but it also helped their employees be more innovative and effective. The last trend I'll talk about is that of becoming an agile marketing organization. So at Google, our own CMO, Lorraine, talks about bringing real-life consumer insights into the marketing decisions that we make, and also being able to test and iterate quickly, which is extremely important in today's social and mobile world. But I wanted to give you an example, a concrete example of agile marketing in action. If you remember a few years ago at the Super Bowl, there was a blackout. So for 45 minutes, the lights went out. And Oreo, the cookie company, they seized on the opportunity and quickly brought a team together of brand marketers, their agencies, digital marketers, and their senior leadership. They concepted, designed, and published a tweet, "You can still dunk in the dark." Now think of the agility required to be able to get a team together and react that quickly in 45 minutes to publish content that's so relevant to the moment and to the audience. And the campaign went completely viral. On Twitter and Facebook, 5 times as many people engaged with the brand based on that tweet than actually watched the game. So we've discussed how marketers are creating more content, how they are enabling a digital enterprise, and how they are using agility in their marketing efforts. But let's take a look at some of the marketing roles within a company and how Google Apps can help them in their daily job. So we've defined 4 roles that you'll often see in a marketing organization. They are Beth from Field Marketing, Sarah, who's a content strategist, Andrew in Marketing Ops, and Carl, who's part of the brand team. So we'll look at Beth first. Now, Beth from field marketing, she's getting ready for a trade show that's happening in 3 weeks, and shows she's under a tight time frame to put the company's best foot forward. So what does she do in her day-to-day tasks? Well, she needs to manage the content and the vendor deadlines. She has to train her staff on the new product messaging. She has to schedule booth duty and customer meetings, and then she'll want to go back and measure the team's performance. So in a world without Google, she uses a very time-consuming and manual process. It involves a lot of emails back and forth. She sends repeated emails of upcoming deadlines and reminders. When she has to train her staff, she first sets up a meeting, then creates a dial-in, then publishes the deck, a very large deck to all the attendees. When she has to schedule booth duty, she puts out the available time slots, and then people send her back the times they're available, and then she enters them into a spreadsheet herself. And then after the event, when everybody's sort of decompressing, she's got to get everyone together again and ask them to provide feedback. But in a world with Google Apps, she can plan for the show more effectively. She can share her deadlines via a shared Google Calendar. She can set up a meeting in one click. That includes the link for people to get into the Hangout, as well as the latest presentation that's in Google Drive, so it's always kept up to date. She can create a sheet with the schedule for booth availability, and then everyone can go into the sheet and put in their times that they can support the booth. And finally, after the event, she can send out a form and gather feedback through Google Forms. So here I'd like to hand it over to Adam to show you in real time how this works with our product.
Great, thanks, Reshma. So for this first demo, we're actually going to look at a real-world example of how Beth uses Google Sheets to manage her company's presence at the EDUCAUSE event. Judging from the membership in the Guru, I'm guessing that many of you may have heard of or even been to EDUCAUSE, and so you might be familiar with this rather large education technology conference. I think in many ways similar to your typical industry conference. And so in this example, Beth is dealing with a cross-functional team of over 25 people, including people from sales, people from engineering, and other people on the marketing team. And examples like this, where you've got all of these staffing and project management and event-related activities, you know, there's always a lot of churn, especially as you get closer to the deadline and the opening of the event. And so having that agility that Reshma talked about on your marketing team and being able to respond to those changes as they come in real time really gives your team the ability to create the best experience for the visitors to the booth during EDUCAUSE. So I want to show really quickly a demo of what these spreadsheets look like that Beth uses to manage the EDUCAUSE event. So you can see here the first tab in the spreadsheet is our main master tracker, and I'll see if I can maybe zoom in a little bit so you guys can get even more visibility. We've got our due dates, we've got our priorities here where we can search in the spreadsheet based on the priority P0 or P1, whether it's required or a nice to have for the event. We've got the list of deliverables, got the category of events and the status of the actual task. We also have over here in the right corner something that I love. You've got an owner of the task, and then you've got a chaser of the task, which again, as you know, as any of you that have run these types of events, cat herding and chasing people is often a big part of it. So being able to track all of this in real time, anyone being able to access this spreadsheet from wherever they are to check a status or to update something, especially on their mobile device as everybody's running around the show floor, getting the booth set up, tremendously valuable to have everybody literally on the same page at the same time. We've got a tab here where we just insert the map of the showcase floor so that everybody can get oriented that's going to be participating. We've got a tab that handles staffing, who's arriving, are they confirmed for the different events, are they attending the customer advisory board, etc. In terms of booth scheduling, this tab allowed Beth to reduce her cat herding responsibilities by over 50% because she enabled the staff that were participating in the event to trade off and swap out sessions on their own. So Beth no longer becomes the gatekeeper for all of these things, and as Reshma described, a tremendously manual and inefficient process, But in fact, Helen and Tia and Jordan and everyone else on this list has direct access to the sheet. If they know they have a meeting with a customer and they need to swap out a period, they can reach out directly to other people and do that swap without requesting it through Beth. Tremendous agility and flexibility. And things like this, when you know, organizations that are sort of coming from the old way of doing things and used to that control have a fear that when they let everyone edit this stuff, it's going to go crazy. And in general, that isn't the case. In general, what happens is when you give people this sense of sort of self-control and self-sufficiency, they go in and take advantage of it. And over time, if you've got an organization that isn't used to that, this is a great way for pushing more power and decision-making out to the teams and allowing them to collaborate effectively without requiring a bunch of emails and manual intervention and stuff like that. So the next tab here shows the schedule in the university theater, which is one of the speaking areas within the booth. So you get the sense. Many of you are familiar with these real-time, multi-author collaborative spreadsheets. But I'm guessing that many of you work with people that may still be using the old method of managing these events. And so you may not be that impressed with this real-time collaborative mumbo-jumbo. But if you reach out to folks in your organizations and make them aware that there are some really effective tools to help them improve that sort of never-ending email, file attachment, merge, detail management headache that comes with running these things, you should reach out to them and let them know. And we're going to have a link to a set of top 10 tips that you'll be able to share with those folks on your marketing teams, including this specific example of managing a trade show using Google Sheets. So again, get ready for the next demo where we're going to have a more interactive session. If you need to get a barcode reader, go to the Play Store or the App Store and go ahead and download that if you want to follow along in the demo with your mobile device. Otherwise, you can just click on it from a web browser and you'll be able to access those demo files as well. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Reshma, and we'll be back in a few minutes for more demo. Reshma, take it away.
Thank you, Adam. That was great. And what Adam showed you, many of our customers use our product to do this today. I wanted to give you an example of Grow Marketing. They are an event planning company based in San Francisco. Their motto is that they create flawless live experiences, and they completely attribute this to the power of Google Apps. So when they plan an event, similar to what Adam showed you, they use an event master. This is a Google Sheet with all the information that anyone associated with the event would need to know, and they give everyone access to this sheet. It's got contact information, it's got schedules, it's got creative documents, it's got detailed info about the venue, attendee lists, you name it. And they claim that their productivity has increased by 30% since moving to Google Apps. So let's move on to our next role. This is Sarah, who's a content strategist. So this is a role that we're seeing more and more in marketing organizations today, and that makes sense given that content marketing is becoming such a huge part of marketing organizations. So Sarah is responsible for creating that buyer-relevant content. That's what will make the buyer pay attention, and so having her be as creative as possible is very important. But let's look at what she does in her day-to-day job. She's got to meet with the thought leaders that help her generate the ideas. She has to collaborate with agencies to actually produce the collateral. She then has to review and approve that collateral, and then she has to publish it throughout the organization. And in a world without Google Apps, she has to use very different, non-intuitive, and sometimes even unsanctioned apps to do these necessary tasks. She's got to spend a lot of time traveling to have meetings with thought leaders to help her develop the content. If she has to share content, she often has to use a personal account, but thereby exposing the company and confidential data to security risk. She has to email content for approvals, which often creates version control issues and space issues. And then when she's ready to publish her content, she'll email it via a distribution list, but she's never really sure that her salespeople are using the correct version of the content. So with Google Apps, however, Sarah can spend more time creating and less time managing the process. She can use Google Hangouts to meet with her thought leaders, thereby saving the company time and money. She can share her large creative files with her agencies using Google Drive. When she has to review and approve content, she can use Google Docs, which allows her to do this both while she's in the office and even on her mobile device. And she can use Google Sites and G+ to publish the content throughout the organization. So now we'll hand over to Adam and get you guys doing this yourselves.
Great. Thanks again, Reshma. All right. So as a content strategist, one of the things that Sarah is responsible for is product launches. And we've got a big new product launch coming up. It's called the ZX1000. And we're working with our agency, Rubber Monkey, on a video that showcases the new product in all of its fantastic glory. We've been working extremely hard on the video. It's a 4K high-resolution video because the ZX1000 has wonderful materials and wonderful finish that we really want to come through. But we've been struggling a little bit with our legal team and our engineering team as they've been having many changes and revisions that they come back on the video on as they finalize all of the specs and everything. So we're all anxiously waiting to see the latest revision, and then all of you that are on the demo are going to be my legal team, my engineering team, and the sales team, and you're going to review the latest version of the video and then give me your approval in this demo. And to make it all extra fun, we're actually going to do this all on our mobile devices, or I am anyway. So you guys can follow along on your mobile device or on the laptop. So in this scenario, Sarah and her teammate Matt have just gotten an update from their agency that the latest revision of the video is ready for review. You guys are the ones, again, that are going to review this video and then ultimately give your approval or your denial for us to move forward with the launch. So Beth and Matt have reviewed the new file, and we need to share it with all of you. We're going to use a combination of things, but for some of you that want to access it through your mobile device and didn't yet fill out the form, in the Showcase app, there's going to be a QR code that you should be able to click on. For the rest of you, I'm going to go ahead and send out that notification email now. So Andrew, if you can make sure that the QR code to the launch video is there. And then those of you that want to use the QR code or also the URL link should be there. Andrew, if you can put that in the Showcase app. And then many of you should also get an email right about now as well.
So Adam, I have the approval form up there. Should I put the video?
Yes, the
QR
video
code up
link
as well?
first, please.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so that everybody, you should be able to see that in the Showcase app now.
Okay, and so as you guys are getting into the video, I'm going to open up Matt's Drive so you guys can sort of see what's in here and go into our demo folder. So this ZX1000 launch video, which I mentioned before, is a 4K high-res video. It may be the only 4K high-res video available today. And it's 260 gigabytes in size. Let me say that again. It's 260 gigabytes in size. I'd also like to take this moment to highlight Google Drive for Work and the unlimited storage that comes. And so you can see I'm using 79 terabytes of storage in this account. But hey, I don't care. It's unlimited. And what's a 260 gigabyte video between friends? So hopefully some of you are able to access the file. What I'm actually going to do while you guys are getting in is I'm going to show what it looks like to access the device from my mobile. And this would be the same thing that any of the users on their mobile devices would experience. I would get the email or I would go into Drive. And this is a display from my tablet device. I can go into my recents list and see let's pull this up here. So maybe those of you that are in there can, in the comments, just let me know if you're able to start seeing the beginning of the video playing for you. It starts out with a title sequence. If you can enter some comments, that would be great.
I think there is a slight delay, so we might have to wait until we see those comments. But let's see how that. Let's see if we can get some in here in the Q&A section, everybody.
So again, you should be able to use the QR code to get to the file or the link in the Showcase app, or if you signed up in our sign-up form before the demo, you should have gotten an email bringing you to the file. And again, this particular device is not logged into the right account right now, but you could get a sense for being able to access this video the same way you guys are right now, being able to share it with others as I'm doing with you guys, and then asking for approval, all without even requiring that I be at my desktop. And that's a pretty, I think, significant change from the past where, you know, if you had a 260 gigabyte file that you need to distribute to 50 people that need to review it and approve it, that's a pretty challenging thing that probably would take some period of time. In the new world, you can get that all done with a few clicks in a few minutes and distribute that 260 gigabyte file to 50 people, get their review and approval all in the matter of minutes or hours as opposed to days or longer.
Hey, Adam, it looks like the comments are starting to stream in, and it looks like everybody's able to see the video, and apparently it looks great. And people are asking if there's going to be any popcorn at some point during the presentation. Will you guys be providing that?
Yes, virtual popcorn is the third part of the demo. So we've shared the video with everyone. People are starting to review the video, make sure that the technical specifications are correct, that everything is good to go with the legal teams. And now what we have to do is get that approval. So I'm going to now send you guys another email with a link to the approval form. And then, Andrew, if you can also bring up the QR code and the link in the Showcase app to the approval form, we'll start getting a sense of whether or not people are okay with this video or we need to go back and make some more revisions. So let me go back into my email and send out the approval form. Again, those of you that are getting the emails should receive another one with a link to the approval form. And if you could go in, you can, and again, you can use the QR code to access it from your mobile device. As many of you know, Google Forms is a real piece of magic inside Google Apps. It makes it brain dead easy for anyone to collect information in a very organized and very usable fashion, obviously populating a sheet underneath it. And this is the type of stuff that I think really helps people discover why Google Apps can make their life better or make their work better than it was before. Many of you are familiar with Forms, but again, chances are, based on our experience, there's lots of people in your organization that could really benefit from the use of Forms. They just don't know, and they need a little bit of help and guidance to get there. And so you, as the sort of champions of change and innovation in the organization, have a chance to reach out to these folks and say, hey, have you done anything with Google Forms? Let me show you an example of how you can collect real-time quantitative feedback on the value of the assets and the content that you create. That is like gold to a marketer right there. So as you guys are filling in the results, I'm going to bring up the tab that underlies, and I'm going to go ahead and start looking at the analysis in the summary of the responses. All right, by an overwhelming margin, 92, almost 93%, we're ready to go. So the group's in a good mood. Everybody's happy. A lot of people accessing it through smartphones. Feel free to keep going ahead and entering data in here. We should see some updates here. We've got about 70 responses so far. But again, all of this stuff completely empowered for non-technical people. And marketing departments, anyone in the marketing department can create these types of survey forms and very quickly get feedback, from people all across the world in a very quantitative way. And I know personally in my time as a content marketer, having this measurement of value is incredibly, incredibly useful and powerful. And these are the kinds of things that can really help marketing teams realize what they can do with Google Apps and realize some of the power and the benefits that they have. And again, if you're looking for some magic to show to some of your users, then Google Forms could be a great place to start. With that, and you guys can continue. Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
Sorry, I just wanted to interrupt for a second. So a lot of you were able to fill out the approval form through the QR code. We weren't able to put up an actual link to the approval form in the Showcase app because there is a limitation with putting a Google form in there. So I posted it on the Google Plus event page for you guys. So if you didn't get a chance, you can go in there and fill it out too. It's a little late in the demo process, but it's up there as well if you guys still want to participate. So Adam, I'll give it back to you.
All right, fantastic. Thanks, Andrew. Let's get back into the slides and we will wrap this up and then we'll get into Q&A. Again, any of you that have questions on anything that we're covering, please feel free to enter that into the Q&A application that's in the Hangout.
Thanks, Adam. Very relevant, very great demo. Thank you. So in addition to us showing you this, though, it's helpful for you to see that CMOs across the globe are using Google Apps just for basically that. The big part of their job is collaborating, and so that's where Google Apps can help them. We have Mike Volpe, the CMO of HubSpot, HubSpot being the industry leader in inbound marketing software, who said that Google Apps has allowed them to collaborate on their most important documents no matter where they are. They can store their files in one place or find templates and notes even while traveling and on their smartphones. The next role I wanted to discuss with you is that of Andrew from marketing operations. So he's responsible for managing the marketing operations and technology for his company. These include things like he's a gatekeeper for web changes. He has to create and manage budgets. And then he also executes email campaigns. In a world without Google, Andrew doesn't have the tools he needs to do his job effectively. He'll spend way too much time in meetings gathering requirements. When he puts together a budget, he'll have to poll everyone for their line items and then manually enter them into a budget spreadsheet and then send out the budget spreadsheet for approval. When he's getting ready to launch an email campaign, he'll have to work with the campaign owner to create that campaign text and target list, probably in many face-to-face meetings and email attachments going back and forth. But in a world where he's using Google Apps, he can collaborate more effectively within the organization. When he wants to make changes to the website, he can send out a Google form to the content owner to provide him with the text for those changes. When he needs to set up a budget, he publishes a budget spreadsheet and everyone can enter in their line items themselves. And when he has to put together a campaign, he can use Google Docs and collaborate both on the campaign text and the target list in real time with the campaign owner. So an example of this, and this goes back to Adam's discussion of Google Forms, is Aperio, one of our partners in the IT consulting space that helps companies embrace cloud technologies. Their head of demand generation, inbound, and marketing operations, Chris Beckelman, says that using Google Docs is a no-brainer. He basically sends a form out to anyone who wants to make changes to the website and says, if you fill out this form, I'll get your website changes up quickly, and that will allow me to get back to the more important things for the company, which is actually generating leads. So the final role I want to discuss is Carl on the brand team, who is working on a company rebranding initiative. And so what he has to do is manage program timelines and tasks because they want to launch the new brand for this company. He has to gather feedback on the themes from senior leadership. He also has to collaborate with his agency on the creatives, and he has to update the company website, update press and analysts and employees so they're all speaking the same speak about the new brand. But in a world without Google, Carl is forced to use cumbersome ways to share that information. He has to send out email reminders of deadlines and tasks coming up. He has to spend a lot of time in meetings face-to-face getting approvals. When he has to share content with his agencies, he might do it via email or with personal file sharing accounts. And he uses email distribution lists to communicate this message internally and externally. But in a world with Google Apps, he can launch the brand effectively both to internal and external parties. So he can create a shared calendar, and everybody has access to this calendar so they know the deadlines coming up. When he wants to collaborate on themes with his senior leadership, he can use Docs. When he needs to share files with his agency, he can do this with Google Drive, and they're also available on their mobile device, as you saw Adam demonstrate. And finally, when he has to communicate with both internal and external constituents, he can do this using G+ and Google Hangouts. So the example here I want to give you is something that we did internally at Google. A few months ago, we launched a rebranding initiative. We rebranded Google Enterprise to Google for Work. And this was a massive undertaking if you can think about all the different pieces that had to come together and speak the same speak. That included the creative teams, the web teams, our press and analyst relations, and even internally in the organization, making sure we had the right templates to use when we're talking to customers. Our head of brand marketing said that having Google Drive was critical so that everyone always had the latest information and everyone was always on the same page. So finally, I'd like to leave you with a resource that Adam mentioned, and this should also be showing up in your Showcase app. This is basically top 10 tips that we created for sales and marketing users. You can send this to your sales and marketing professionals to show them how Google Apps can help them work faster and collaborate better. And this page basically walks you through some of the things we've shown you today in this talk, as well as the demo. And it's everything that your marketing and sales teams need to do to get started using Google Apps to make their jobs easier. So with that, I think we're ready to open up for Q&A.
So I just put up the everyone. So the marketing tips should be in your Showcase app. We do have a QR code there and an actual link to the file. So it would be great, guys, if we could get some questions for Adam and Reshma here. I know it doesn't necessarily have to be just marketing related. I think it could be, just general Google Drive for Work questions, if that would, if there's any questions there. I know Adam has presented before on Google Drive for Work, so I'm sure he can help out there. There is one question that I think, Adam, you didn't get a chance to touch on. Someone was asking about the video that was shared and asking if it's chewing up their storage. Do you want to just comment on that real quick?
Sure. Yeah. If the video is shared with you for review, it is not chewing up your storage. I mean, it would still be resident in the storage of the owner of that file. But as they share it out, it's just one copy of the file. Each time it gets shared with someone else, another copy is not made. And it
Great. I know.
Doesn't count against the sharer's quota.
Right. All right. So I think I'm checking to see if we have any questions here. A lot of people are still commenting on the quality of the video, so I think you may have distracted them, Adam, with your movie. So let's see here. I know we're running on a bit of a delay, so I just want to give it a couple more seconds and see if there are some more questions. While we're waiting on those, I'm going to go ahead and also put up the giveaway form for today. So this will be give everybody the chance to win some of the free giveaways that we have for this session. So a free t-shirt is one of those. A GCon swag box is also one of our free giveaways. So you should be able to see that in the Showcase app, along with the download for the file. So we got a question here for you guys. What's the best way to communicate to non-Google users? Maybe we can kind of slant this to a marketing perspective, but a way to get non-Google users to switch away from email and unshared spreadsheets to maybe the more collaborative experience inside of Google Drive.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Couple things that come to mind. The product itself is evolving pretty nicely to make it easier for people to access documents and collaborate without requiring that they're logged in. So we have a feature in Drive called Invite Preview that makes it easy for anyone to be able to see a document without any kind of Google account or login required. Now, of course, in order to edit a document, they do have to log in. But Invite Preview, I think, just launched. If it didn't just launch, it's pretty imminent. Also, in some of the other collaborative areas, Hangouts in particular, we've been, I think, making pretty good and steady progress towards removing barriers for people without Google accounts to get into the Hangout. This is definitely one of the top friction points for Hangouts and using it outside of the domain. Last year we separated Google Plus from the Hangouts application, so you no longer needed a Google Plus profile. We fairly recently added what we internally call the knocking feature, which allowed someone to access a Hangout using their personal Gmail account, even if it was their corporate account that was actually invited. And we've talked about our roadmap opening it up for essentially the equivalent of invite preview, where no account whatsoever is necessary to access a Hangout. We haven't launched that yet. We're working on it. Stay tuned. And if you're a part of the Google for Work Connect community, attend the roadmap sessions there, and you'll certainly get details on when that and other future features are likely to come out. But I think that fundamentally we're moving fairly significantly towards making it really easy to have someone that doesn't have a Google account be able to access documents as well as be able to participate in Hangouts and other types of collaborative activities. And I think overall there's kind of a rising tide as more and more of the external groups may be starting to work with Google Apps. You'll find more of your vendors that say, oh yeah, I've worked with Google Apps with other customers. And increasingly, I think there'll be less and less friction in that area.
Yeah, and we actually had, as you were answering that, you kind of answered another question that came in on how Google cooperates with people that are not on Google. So you went ahead and answered that question as well. And I would say, just to comment on that from a user perspective, I've seen personally how Google has improved over the past couple of years on not just letting the ease of use improve and making the experience just better overall, but kind of recognizing that there are people have unique ways of using the Google platform. It's not always that you're logging in with your Google Apps account at every single time. Sometimes you need to join a Hangout from a personal account. Sometimes you need to share with somebody that's not on Google. So it's been great to see those changes come down over the past year or so. Definitely from a user perspective.
Yeah, we're really excited about the stuff that we've been doing. I mean, certainly we would have liked to have gotten a lot of it there as soon as we could have, and some of it's taken a little longer. But I think some of the key pieces are really coming online now that position Drive very competitively in the emerging file sync and share market. But of course, Google Apps gives you a much richer collaborative platform, not just sharing the files back and forth, but all of the collaborative documents, all of the Hangout stuff, all of the notification pieces, all come together in a way that really transforms the way people work, as we saw some examples earlier today, managing trade shows, dealing with giant video files, all from your mobile device in a really compelling way that I think can help marketing organizations achieve that level of agility and responsiveness that is really demanded in today's sort of fast-paced marketing world. So we're excited to be able to have given you guys this presentation. We'll hang out a few more minutes if there are more questions. Again, go out to the Google Apps Support Center and look for that top 10 sales and marketing tips. You can use the QR code or the link that's in the Showcase app. And that's a public page. So feel free to share that page with your marketing counterparts, with your sales counterparts. And again, depending on the situation of your organization, sometimes these folks just need a little bit of guidance to get going with this stuff, and then they can really take it and run with it and dramatically change the way they get work done and really have a significant beneficial impact on that.
Let's see. I think we have a couple of other questions that aren't specifically marketing related. Adam, I'm not sure how much time you guys have left for questions. Do you guys have a minute or two to stick around, or do we need to wrap up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we have one question from Trevor Beck, who's actually a Guru contributor. So I wanted to give him a quick shout out. So he's asking, and I know this is kind of a sensitive subject for some people, about anything coming down the pipeline around Google Sites. Is there anything that you can comment on there, Adam, about Google Sites and what people should expect in the near future?
Yeah, there's really not much more I can say than what we say on the roadmap call. So I would kind of refer people back to that. Essentially, the current Sites product continues to live on. We are working on kind of a next generation Sites product. It's quite a ways off though, and at this point, we haven't articulated a specific description of exactly what it's going to be optimized for and aimed at. The current Sites product continues to live on. It's in a little bit of a maintenance mode as we put effort into figuring out what that right experience is for a Sites type of product in its next iteration. Stay tuned on that, and again, check out the roadmap calls if you can on the the Google for Work Connect community, and that's where you get the latest on future features that are coming down the road.
Great, thanks, Adam. I think that's all the questions that we're going to get to today, guys. I wanted to thank everybody for participating. We had a great live experience today with all of you guys checking out the video and using the QR code. So that was really cool to see. So thank you all for stopping by. I did want to thank Adam and Reshma specifically for joining us and putting together a great presentation. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Just wanted to say a quick thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who attended.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
And so with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. We do have a couple of other presentations going on this afternoon. We have a bit of a break. So I do know there is a presentation at 3 Eastern, 3 ways to prevent data loss in Google Apps, which is definitely a great presentation that you guys should check out. If you haven't already, please take a second to fill out the form in the Showcase app. And lastly, the marketing tips that Adam mentioned are also available in the Showcase app. So please check that out, share it with your marketing team inside your organization, and kind of spread the knowledge. That way it takes a little bit of the work out of your hands to just kind of pass that along. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and we will see you the rest of the day for the rest of the GCon presentations. Thanks, everybody.